Hello, my name is Sam Wheeler, and today we're going to talk about link building for brands. This is a webinar from Inceive Interactive. So let's get started. Today, we're going to go through a lot of tactics, a lot of information about how to set up a link building campaign. We're first going to talk about why brands should care about links, an overview of what link building is, talk a little bit about brand assets, how to set up a linking campaign, different tactics you could use, how to prospect, pitches and follow-ups, and we'll have any templates at the end that you can download to use by yourself. So first thing we're going to talk about is why do I care about links? Why should I give any resources to this at all? Most of the strategies here are for brands that may not have a really strong digital footprint, where there's just thousands and thousands of mentions out there that they can just go in and convert. But if we're gonna take a step back to understand, okay, what are our links? Why are they important? And how can we use them to improve our SEO channel? All right, in a very basic sense, back in the day, links equaled votes, right? Whoever had the most votes won. That's not the case anymore. It's now whoever has the best votes wins. So you want to be sure to set up a campaign that's, improved, that's adding relevant and strong links pointing to your site. So search engines use links for two main purposes. The first is to find new web pages to put into their index, right? The crawler just crawls the web and tries to identify different pages, understand how they're connected, and try and figure out, which page is the best. And that's kind of where PageRank came in. I think it was made in 1999 or something like that by Larry Page. And basically, there's a bunch of patents that Google has, to understand what a seed page is and how far away a different page is from that seed page and all this mumbo jumbo that basically, helps determine how a page should rank. So links are always going to be important. I mean, the content on the page is always important, right? But links are always going to be a way to show, the robot what is the best source of information on the web. So there are some estimates that show that links make up 40% of a weighted link ranking metric. This is a graph from Moz here where domain level link features and page level link features, we'll get into that a little bit later, but basically the domain that's linking to you and the specific page that's linking to you, right? If you've got a link from, a really awesome article that's ranking well for a certain term, that link is going to be way more valuable than some UGC post deep in the website somewhere. Most importantly, just got to that, not all links are created equal, right? A link from samsfunblog.com is not as valuable as a link from the New York Times, right? So just keep that in mind as we move forward here, as the goal is to build a campaign that's going to build you strong, relevant links. I'm going to say that phrase a lot, but it's important. It's a really important thing that most people forget when they're trying to get links. They just try and get as many as they want or as many as they can. But our focus and the actual focus for brands should be earning strong links. So again, here's another graph. I forget what resource this is from, to be honest, but here's important SEO ranking factors. I mean, there's lists that are the 200 ranking factors and blah, blah, blah. I mean, to be honest, nobody knows because it's all based on research and tests that people have run. But, Google doesn't give away the formula for how to rank number one for a given query. However, as we've seen through patents and a bunch of other user tests from third-party sites, links are important. That's kind of the general takeaway here. Cool. So we're going to talk about the types of links and what we're looking at, how we kind of understand what makes a good link. All right, so there are several link factors to consider when trying to identify what is a good link. The first is the referring domain level. Okay, that's if we're getting a link from the New York Times, then we need to look at the authority of the page and the relevancy, or the authority of the domain and the relevancy of the domain. If I am a site that sells water bottles, I probably want to get links on other sites about lifestyle, outdoors, sites about water, water groups, all that type of stuff. That's on the domain level. The next factor is the referring page level. Okay, so you could have a site about lifestyle. Like, let's go back to this. I'm a water bottle company. You could have a site about a lifestyle blog that is a little bit in your kind of relevant for you, sort of. But if the article's about like how to cook spinach or something, right? That's not really relevant to your water company, right? So that wouldn't make sense. So that's why you want to look at it both on a domain and a page level. So you want to look at the location of the link on the page. That's really important because, comment links aren't as valuable and site links are usually ignored. Google has said, I think it was, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago now, basically that after Penguin dropped a few years ago, or Penguin 2.0 dropped, basically Google knows when a link is not adding value, and they've said that they just ignore it, right? So, you want the link to be in the copy, in the body of the page. Also within the context and the number of outgoing links, right? This is kind of a general link theory that if the page has 10,000 links on it, yours is not going to be super valuable, right? The moral of the story here is you want to be added as a resource, something that adds value to the user. And then on the link level, we have the anchor text, what the anchor text is. If my page is about cricket bats and I'm getting to a link on a flower page and it's the anchor text is check out these flowers, right? That doesn't make any sense. But if my page is about cricket bats and it's getting a link to a page about cricket items that are for sale, then great. That makes total sense, right? And you also want to look at the destination page, right? That's, really important for just general SEO strategy too, is you want links to your pages that rank, right? But we can't always get those. So, we use our links to kind of build authority as a whole. So we'll talk about domain authority building and page authority building through backlinking in a little bit, but that's the general scenario here. And then on the top right, Link Juice, it's an energy drink that we made. But yeah, we can mail you some if you want. Just let us know. Okay, so brand link building. The scenario here and the scenario for this webinar is a brand that may have some mentions out there, but not an insane amount. Okay, like if you think about brands like Walmart and Best Buy, there's thousands and thousands of mentions out there. They have thousands of products. Like you only really need to do one tactic, which is reclamation, which we'll talk about also. So this is how it works in a nutshell. There's three main steps. You need to identify opportunities. Okay, you need to research your opportunities. You need to build campaigns and choose your tactics. Okay, and then you need to prospect for those tactics. You need to organize your list by tactic and link type. You need to get all the information at once, and then you need to pitch and follow up. Okay, you need to make sure you're adding value. We'll talk about the pitch sort of at the end here, but in a basic sense, this is what a campaign looks like. It seems basic, but there's a lot of steps involved, and it's really tough for people to do this in-house. So that's kind of the point of this webinar, right? To give you a framework for how to set it up in-house. All right, before you identify the campaigns that you want to use, or the tactics that you want to use, you need to identify your linkable assets. Okay, people say, oh, you want links, just build like amazing content, right? And here's an example here. It's like a really awesome piece. Like it's an interactive piece about Burma and, different views and different photos and all this great stuff, right? Wonderful. But this piece probably cost $10,000, right? Maybe even more, depending on if this person who went there or actually went there and was charged, the company charged to create it and all that stuff, right? It's not really what we're talking about here, because we are talking about how can brands leverage current site element or site assets to build a linking campaign. Now, if you have 10 G's to spend on one single piece of content, then that's great. We could do a whole webinar about how to make that piece the best piece ever. But the goal of this webinar is to kind of set up a campaign without having to create amazing content. So in reality, any page on your website can be a linkable asset. Okay. You just need to make sure you position it away in your campaign or in your tactics so you can like show that it's adding value to the website's users, right? So commercial pages potentially could be on the homepage for sure, blog content, right, that you already have or has been written a long time ago. And then also like about pages and other company specific, right? So for example, this picture here, corporate subdomain for Walmart, it's like a 1-paragraph page about Walmart, right? If I'm building links for Walmart, anybody that's linking to this or linking to Wikipedia or something, I'm going to say, hey, look, don't link to that page, like link to our homepage, right? There's more information about us on our homepage than our actual about us page. And that would be a way to like build homepage links, right? So it's really any page can be an asset. It just depends on how you position it. Cool. So the next step, once you've kind of gone through your site, you know what is there and how you know, all of your assets, then you have to research your opportunities to try and build your tactic list. So same sort of concept here is when you're trying to figure out how to research and how to, you know, come up with some link building tactics, you want to look for patterns, and then you want to be able to repeat that over and over again. Okay. So you want to research your competition, choose your tactics. You want to prospect, leverage your crawling tools to find opportunities, right? And we'll go over that in a second, but you know, I'm not going to spend 10 hours of my time, you know, researching unlinked brand mentions if I don't know that they exist, right? So you have to kind of do a little bit of prospecting up front to make sure that it's a viable tactic for a long-term linking campaign. And then you want to repeat. You want to build 2 to 3 types of opportunities before you even like start pitching, and you know, you want to make sure you're all set with several different tactics, because you know, you don't want to spend 100 hours doing a campaign that just like doesn't work, right? Cool. So we're going to go through some of the tactics, and then I'm going to actually X out of this deck, and we're going to do some real life work here. So this is not the complete list. Okay. This is some of the stuff that we use, some really good tactics for, you know, your team to kind of get started. Reclamation, easiest one, really. There's several types. There's broken links. That's when somebody's linking to you and it's an old page that doesn't work anymore. Those are really easy. Unlinked brand mentions, same concept here. They're mentioning your brand, but not linking to it. Link sculpting, a little bit more complicated. We don't need to get into it right now. We'll talk a little bit about it in a few slides. Image reclamation, it's when somebody's using your images. The next tactic is help a reporter out, which is called HARO. Basically, it's when this is a service that reporters need quotes, so you can, you know, give them quotes if you have a point of contact that can like actually, you know, make quotes for your company. There's also, in addition to help reporter out, there's like ProfNet, Databox, which is another really cool site that's relatively new in the last 6 months. And there's a bunch of others. If you are interested in this type of thing, this is more of like thought leadership placements as well. Just shoot me an email and we can send you kind of all the sites that we use to build links there. Guest posting, the non-spammy kind. All right, guest posting has been spammed to hell. There's all these crappy sites out there. And what we're talking about here is creating really good content that adds value to the website and becoming ongoing contributors and using it as more of like a PR play with a focus on link building. So, you know, hang tight on that one. There's 2 types. There's a persona and then a byline, which we'll talk more about. Pitching as a resource, that's when you've got a blog post or some sort of original research or something where you can be like, hey, you look at this. This is going to be great for your users. And we'll talk more about these. Business connections as well. People that are like connected to your business or employees or whatever. And we'll get to that. So here's like an example. It's like an about page, right? So especially for pitching as a resource, right? If people don't like to just link to a homepage sometimes, right? Because they especially sites that make money on the web, so this is like carryaCountry.com. if people might be like, no, I'm not going to link to you, like pay me money and then I will, right? But what you can do is if they're mentioning you, you could be like, well, I was hoping you could, users love to learn more about us, right? And before they make a purchase. So here's this like awesome about us page that has like graphics and talks about our story. I was hoping you could use this to kind of add value, right? And then that's kind of morphing on like Brand mentioned and then pitching as a resource, right? So, anything can really be a asset for your team. Also, don't forget to get the social media team in the game if they're willing. Being able to add value, reciprocal linking, not a good tactic. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can leverage your social media team to be like, hey, if you can like add us or update this link or whatever, we'll shout you out on social, right? Especially for smaller sites. If you have a brand, like people love when brands like talk about them on social media, right? So sometimes there's like rules involved with that, but for the most part, for smaller brands, it's a really easy way to kind of add value without, so you don't have to like pay somebody for them to mention you. All right, Reclamation. First thing is Ahrefs. Awesome tool. If you don't have it already, definitely need to download it and give a trial. Shout out to them for putting together a really great tool. There's a bunch of types of reclamation. Basically, reclamation means somebody is already mentioning you in some capacity, whether it be text, image, they're already linking to you, the link's pointing to a different page or whatever. So these are the ones we talked about earlier. We're going to actually go through and kind of show you how we look for this stuff right now. But the most important thing is to understand, like, you want to do your research. You want to leverage Google's advanced search operators and other third-party tools like Ahrefs. Moz has a pretty decent one. You want to do this first to see, is there opportunity, right? Because for a lot of smaller brands, like maybe they don't have a lot of links, right? So we don't want to spend a bunch of time like looking for mentions that like don't exist. So let's do that. I'm going to use Rubbermaid as an example. I know they're technically an enterprise, but it's, to show how we use these tools, I'm going to use enterprise or use Rubbermaid. So first thing I'm going to do is like in title Rubbermaid, right? This is one of the advanced search operators. So what we see here is, okay, their domain pops up. I don't want their website. There's probably a bajillion pages on their site that are going to show up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is minus in URL Rubbermaid. Now, this is interesting because it's going to give me only if it's a Rubbermaid like dash will pull out. So like Rubbermaid commercial, it's not going to pull out because it's technically a different word, sort of. The advanced search operators are kind of weird like that. But one thing that I find really interesting is Rubbermaid commercial products. All right. So this is probably the same company as Rubbermaid, but it's their like, wholesale side or something like that. I'm going to get rid of this. Interesting. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of doing minus in URLs, we're going to do minus site. Rubbermaid.com. Okay, so we'll also do minus site Rubbermaid commercial. Minus site Twitter. Minus site Target. So this is kind of how you set it up, just so you can find mentions, right? People that are talking about your brand. So a lot of Amazon, a lot of Walmart. This would be tough for Rubbermaid. So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like Rubbermaid. Just do quotes. So here's one. History, Ohio, historycentral.org. Rubbermaid, it's probably based in Ohio. Yeah, found in Worcester, Ohio. Great. This is a great opportunity. Okay. There's no link here, right? Talk about all the brands, right? I'd probably hit this site up. It's .org and be like, yo, thanks for like writing about us. Like, here's a link to our newest like about us page or whatever, right? So we know that there are mentions out there, right? So I'm also going to go to Ahrefs. So here, now we're getting into potentially link sculpting, right? People that are already, I guess it's technically link jacking or link addition. But basically anybody that's linking to a Rubbermaid commercial could potentially link to the B2C brand, right? And also Newell Products owns a bunch of other companies, right? So anybody linking to Papermate or Parker or Waterman could also potentially link to Rubbermaid as well. So yeah, 1,600 referring domains that could potentially be a target. So we know there's value there, right? So I'm going to probably pull the background link profile of Rubbermaid commercial, Papermate, Waterman, all those sites, and kind of see if like, all right, is this a tactic that we're going to use in the long run, right? But now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to rubbermaid.com. And let's say I'd only be building links for the US version. All right, so the Rubbermaid.com, they've got sites all over the world. They only have like 5,000 or 5,500 referring domains, which is really interesting. I bet there's a ton of opportunity. So broken links here. There's Ahrefs has a tool to identify broken links. It's the first thing you should do is be like, all right, do we have links that are broken, right? 2,000 opportunities here. Interesting. So this is like an old Rubbermaid index page. Really awesome homepage opportunity from motherjones.com. A lot of coupon stuff that, there's a really good, interesting opportunity there. But like, even Rubbermaid coupons, right? So now we're talking about thinking about linkable assets. They probably have a coupon page themselves, right? Yeah. So this could be pitching as a resource, right? We could hit up people and be like, hey, did you know we have Rubbermaid deals? All right, there are no current deals, which probably isn't true. Rubbermaid, what's up with that? Let's pretend that there are deals on here, right? Oh, it says you have to sign in to register for Rubbermaid. Okay, that's weird. Anyways, so this could be pitching as a resource where you just hit sites up and be like, yo, we got all these great deals. Like, check it out. That works, especially for brands that have deals, right? Even if you just sell one product. So broken backlinks, definitely an opportunity here. We know that there's people are writing about the company, which is here. So these are kind of all the different reclamation tactics that I would decide, right? And the next step is understanding, like, all right, how much time do we have and which tactics should we focus on? Cool. Moz also has a really good tool for unlinked brand mentions. I don't think we have time really to go over it, but that's how I would do research on that to kind of look for unlinked brand mentions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if I was Rubbermaid, I would only be focused on reclamation tactics. Right? Not everybody's Rubbermaid, obviously. So we got to go through some other tactics and try to identify, all right, what's a good opportunity for us? So that's what we're going to do right now. So the next service is HARO. Okay. HARO is going to be really good opportunity for a ton of brands that don't have mentions. HARO is a really awesome link building tool. Okay, I can't stress this enough. Basically, where I talked about, there's ProfNet, Databox, a bunch of other sites, but basically journalists need quotes for a story. A lot of times these quotes come from journalists that know the linking game, right? And they'll add links. They'll say, hey, Charlotte Smith of blank brand says this, right? So it's pretty easy, right? You want to sign up for the site. It's helpreporter.com. And when you're responding to these journalists, you need to keep your quotes high level and be unique, right? If somebody says, I think one quote that I got placed was unique backyard features, right? And they don't. So the reporter that needs unique backyard features, they don't want make a patio, right? They don't want that, or they don't even want have like an outdoor grill that's like baked into an island or something like that. I think I got quoted because I said create an earth berm chair, where it's like instead of having like a fence, make a big earth berm that will change the landscape, and then you could have like chairs built into the side of this little hill in your backyard, and it like removes noise and adds privacy and all this like ridiculous things. But it got picked up, pretty funny. And the other thing that's really important here is I don't have any other slides on this, but you want to make sure that you're really quick with why you're qualified to answer, right? So if you're not doing it, if you're doing it for somebody, right, for somebody in the C-suite or whatever, you want to say, hey, I am blank, and I'm responding on behalf of blank, who's an expert in whatever the topic is from the HARO. So you sign up for the site, you'll get like emails, and it's really easy link building way. Another really important thing to look at is just when you get the queries. Let me see if I can open up my email here and show you some of the queries here. A lot of them go to my junk right now. Yeah, here's HARO. Okay. So bandit signs and real estate. Number one tip for claims adjusters, right? You want to look at these people. Cheapism, right? So 18 recipes for grilling fish this summer. All right, I love that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure cheapism gives out do follow links, right? You don't want to be wasting your time responding to HARO queries that aren't giving out do follow links, right? Because then, it's great for like thought leadership, but if they don't have links in the site, don't waste your time with it. So here we go. Roadside attractions, internal. Ooh, courtesy of target.com right here. This is interesting too, because like this is a image reclamation, right? If you're Target, you hit them up and you say, yo, link to this. So buy it at Target. All right. So that's an outbound link, which is interesting because there isn't even affiliate. They might be an affiliate of Target, but it doesn't pop up in the URL. That's interesting. So yeah, do follow link here. Do follow link here. Yeah, I'm good with this. I'd probably respond to cheapism if I had something to do with fish or whatever, grilling or something. But yeah, so good HARO opportunity for that one. Awesome. All right, the next tactic is guest posting. All right, this is really important because, like I said earlier, non-spammy kind, okay? There are two types, persona and byline, okay? Persona is basically when like you're writing the piece, but it's not like a piece from your company, right? It's maybe like you have a writer or you've got somebody who's like an employee or somebody that's writing an article about something that's not technically from you or like officially from you, right? Whereas a byline, the link would go in the byline of the piece, right? Where it's like, Sam is a writer at blank company, blah, blah, blah. Both are okay. You just need to make sure you're adding value, okay? So linking is the reason for this guest posting campaign, but it should be the secondary reason for reaching out, right? When you reach out to the sites, you got to say, hey, we want to be like an ongoing contributor. We want to write good content. It's going to be original research, blah, 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 blah. Most sites are, they know what's going on here. So you need to add value, right? The days of like really spammy guest posting is over, and don't get on websites that are just like only guest post sites, right? That stuff is brutal. So you want to talk to them about thought leadership and ongoing partnerships. And here's a really good example. So this in URL, write for us. Great way to search. Become a contributor, write for us, right here, like all these words you want to use the advanced search operator for to find, but you want to make sure you read what they're writing about, right? Like these people are saying, we don't publish articles for companies or agencies, right? So when you reach out to them, if I was reaching out to the Daily Positive as a brand, I'd probably say, hey, I saw your Write For Us page. I know that we're a brand, but we're going to like really put a lot of effort into this. We want to be part of help your community out. And it's not going to be promotional in any way. That's kind of the most important thing there is you say won't be promotional and we're going to add value to your users. And that's how every outreach email should be to start. Always you talk about their user and how it's going to add value, right? And you don't want to lie to them. You want to make sure what you're doing is adding value, but you can kind of play up that fact. So to find these search operators, you can also use HARO, right? Any HARO writers, search for their name, right? And if you see that they are a freelance writer and they're writing for a bunch of different publications, then obviously those publications like take freelancers, right? So hit them up and be like, hey, I noticed that you have like freelancers. I'd love to become one for you, right? So there's a bunch of really cool ways to research for that. All right, the next tactic is pitching as a resource and business connections. All right, pitching as a resource. So Rubbermaid here is another example. They have a bunch of great articles, right? Especially if you're just starting a campaign. Sometimes brands will have like articles they've written a while ago. So what you want to do is you want to figure out how can you position these articles to build links, okay? It's about the website's users that you hit up, okay? And also, don't target anyone that makes money online, okay? You want to look for like groups or associations or, somebody that doesn't really make money online. So that the Ohio history website that we saw earlier, that's a really great example. I mean, they probably make money online, but there's probably like a group of people that that's part of their association that pays them like dues or whatever. So they don't really care about where they have links in their site because they've got like other revenue streams, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these organizing tips. I'm going to look for a good one, and I'm going to hit up maybe like a community, like a community living association, right? Or condo associations, and hit those websites up. Be like, yo, here's like, hey, condo association, I know you got a bunch of families living in here. Here's some great storage tips. Can you add this to your site? And usually that works, right? Well, not usually, but it works if you do it at scale. So business connections are essentially anyone that connected with the business, right? If you have suppliers, right? See if they have a blog. You need to really find the opportunity first. Suppliers, business partners. Don't forget your leadership team. Sometimes they have personal sites, or sometimes they have connections with. They sit on boards for other groups, and all that type of thing. So that doing that research is pretty important. And don't forget about local links too, especially if you're a smaller brand. I mean, hit up like the coffee shops and the people that you are around your business and be like, hey, let's like do a content sharing, and let's, make sure let's write stuff for each other. And you can kind of blend in other tactics, right? If, you notice that a coffee shop around you has a pretty cool website and it's strong and authoritative, just pitch them a piece. And then, it's a guest posting piece. So most of the campaigns here can kind of be like blended together. All right. So we've gone through some tactics, showed you how to do a little bit of the research, and now we need to find opportunities, right? So at this point, we're going to say, we can still use the Rubbermaid example, I guess. We need to build out a prospect list. All right, I'm going to show you how to do this, but first, you need to organize your list by tactic and by type, and you need to get all the information at once. And basically, if you are doing unlinked brand mentions, you're going to have potentially a list of 100 of them, right? And once I open up this site, right? Did I close it already? Once I open up this site, I never want to go on this website again. I want all the information in my prospect list so I can just send it in an email. Okay, so let's get Excel pumping. So we use Excel, right? And you could too. I mean, there's other services like BuzzStream, I know, is a kind of a cool way to prospect. And there's other tools out there that are more like CRMs that kind of help you. We use Excel sheets because we send them to clients sometimes, and it's easy to keep all the stuff in one place. So I'm going to show you from scratch how to make a prospect list and how you want to get all the information at once. So we'll do that in a second. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. Now use super fast webinar. Okay. So you want to get all the information at once. Okay. Here, there's an example here, but at the bottom you can see that all the tactics are on one sheet. That's really important just for like organization. So you want to get the target URL, which is the page on the website that you're trying to get a link to, the domain of the website, the DA if you're keeping track of that stuff, the new URL that you're pitching them, contact name, contact email, and the location on the page if needed. So let me show you how this works in real life. So this tactic that we're doing is ULBM, unlinked brand mention. So we are going to have the URL, which is ohiocentralhistory.org. Domain, DA. We also like to include like a qualified column, which I'll explain that in a second. URL, domain, DA, qualified, email, name, new URL, date contacted, notes. Okay. So my Mozbar isn't working right now, but let's just say this is a DA of like 30, which I'm not sure. Qualified is really interesting because if you've got pitching as a resource, you'll potentially send like thousands of emails, right? And you'll have a list of 1,000 lines long. If you open up a website and you don't qualify it, right, or something happens or it's broken or whatever, you don't want to ever have to spend time loading that page or looking at it ever again, right? So what you can do is you can just do qualified no, and then set conditional formatting. Set conditional formatting. Duplicate values get highlighted in red. So I'm just going to put example. Right. So let's say this example URL I qualified as not qualified. Right. So in my list, I'm going to get rid of the no's. Okay. But what I can do is, let's say I've done this for 3 months, right? And I'm building a new list, I'm adding to my list, and then I come across this URL, drop it in there, I'm like, oh, it's red. That must mean it's not qualified. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. Just delete it. Make sense? Cool. So email, there's a ton of tools. Hunter.io is a good one. Looks like there's an email. Nope. You can sometimes check the privacy policy. There's probably something for like how to join this group. So here they've got, there we go, webmaster@ohiohistory.org. Perfect. When you're looking for the email address, it's really important to understand that you want to find somebody that's high enough on the totem pole that cares. Sorry, high enough on the totem pole that can make decisions, but low enough on the totem pole that cares, right? Because, if you're emailing a school, you're not going to email the dean of students at the school, right? You want to find somebody like in the department of the page that you're trying to reach out to. So for this, I'm guessing they don't have too many employees at the ohiohistory.org, so I'm guessing webmaster is good. Also, don't email like advertising people, because they'll just be like, oh, a brand's emailing me. Cool, let's get money out of them, right? So there's no name here because it's just the webmaster email. So the new URL we're going to pitch is, let's just say, the homepage. So now I've got most information that I could also add here, like link at bottom. So when I hit these people up, when I come back to my prospect list, maybe in like a couple days after I spend a bunch of time prospecting, I'm going to go back to this and be like, oh, Ohio Central History, the link's at the bottom. So I'm going to hit them up and say, hey, thanks so much for writing about us. I was hoping that you could like add a link to us at the bottom of the page. The more specific you can be in the email, the better and more natural it's going to look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to use this one as, this is going to be my broken link, Borken link. Broken link, ULBM, then I'm going to have one for pitching as a resource and link jacking and all that stuff. So very, very important that you organize your prospect list, because if they're not organized, it's going to be a hell of a time. Also, you have to make sure you follow up, right? When I follow up with these people, I'm going to add a column here for follow-up. And then I'm going to add, in another week, I'm going to add another column for follow-up number 2. Follow-up 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, sometimes you will find that we'll get a bunch of links after the 4th follow-up, right? Now, each of these follow-ups have to have their own pitch. So it's, sometimes what we'll say is we'll have a big email, and the first time, the second time is like a quick follow-up. Third time is a little bit longer of an email just to like make the ask again. So there's a ton of like strategies you can do and tests you can pull to see like what works best for your team. But just moral of the story here is, keep track of it. Okay. So this site, it looks like this is the not secure site. Interesting. info@ohiohistory.org. I'm going to email the webmaster for sure over info or over this contact page. But what I'm going to do, just for the sake of this, is I'm in the notes. I'm going to include, actually, in the email, I'm going to include also the link to the contact page just in case. So I don't have to like spend time looking for it again. Okay. Cool. So that's prospecting. You want to get all your tactics on one sheet. Make sure you qualify them. Blah, 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 blah. All right, pitching. The most important things to understand with the pitch is you need to email them. Don't do it automatically. It's super annoying to get robot emails. People don't respond to it. It needs to be a custom pitch. It needs to be friendly, and you need to add value to their website. It's the most important thing I could stress here is if you're not adding value, they're just ignore you, or they're going to say, yeah, sure, give us money. And you also want to follow up. like I just said, 4 to 5 follow-ups. Really, it's going to be very helpful for your campaign. All right. So you want to be specific, but not demanding. Okay. A good pitch has a personalized intro, a reason, and authority for emailing, right? Make sure you're allowed to email, right? Make that very clear. It has the target URL, which is the page that you're trying to get a link on. It has the new URL, which is the page that on your site that you want a link for. It has the location of the edition, where to add it. And it has the value adding point, like why does this page add value, and a personalized ending and a smart follow-up cadence. Okay. Email them. Follow-up 2 should be 4 days. Follow-up 1 should be 4 days. Follow-up 2 should be a week. And then maybe follow-up 3 is in 2 weeks from that. And then follow-up 4 is in a month, right? Making sure you're keeping that cadence. There's other tips you could do to, maybe start a new thread or change it up or email somebody else. And a really good thing to do in follow-up, especially as you get to like 3 to 4 follow-ups, is add a line that's like, hey, I'm just following up here. I'm not sure the right person to contact. If you could point me in the right direction, that would be helpful, right? And that works a lot of the time because people don't want to ever deal with something. They're happy to just pass it on. And then you get like the actual person to email. So here's a pitch here. My name is blank, and I am a community relations specialist with Rubbermaid. Reaching out because I'm working on building a catalog of our brand mentions, and I came across your article titled blank. This is the actual target URL, right? And it's like, why am I reaching out to you? Well, I'm building this like brand mention catalog, which is technically true because we're building a list of them, right? And then the value add here is I noticed there is not an easy way for readers to learn more about us, okay? How much value is that adding? Not much, but it's like you're showing them that it's about their users, right? If it's not too much trouble, I was hoping you could update it in this section of the piece into a clickable hyperlink to this page. Thanks so much for your help with this quick update. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, okay? Pretty basic. You can also add in, hey, let us know if you update it, and our social team would love to shout it out. Any type of value add you could be adding to, or sometimes I'll add a PS, which is like, PS, I loved your recent piece on how to grill fish. Really delicious. I'm excited to try your tilapia recipe or whatever. So keep that in mind. If you want this pitch template, we can do it. We can send it to you guys. Just email us, let us know. So for templates, email me, swheeler@nceive.com, and we can get you started or talk through how you're going to create a campaign. We're happy to give away more free advice. We can send you prospecting templates. We can send you pitch templates, follow-up templates, whatever you need. We can also go through how to use Ahrefs and Moz, and we'll be putting together more detailed mini webinars for how to use all of those tools. Or if you just want a list of the third-party tools that we use, we can do that as well. Just, feel free to email me. Well, we can also send you a can of link juice. We actually have a real-life version of them. So keep us in the loop. Feel free to contact us, and thank you so much for listening to this webinar. I know I've been talking for a while, but appreciate your attention and excited for you guys to start building your own campaigns. Thanks.